The 5 objects of desire are useless like the bone gnawed by a dog. They foment quarreling like the meat over which birds are contending. They burn a man like the torch carried in the wind. They harm a man like treading on a poisonous snake. They are futile like profit made in a dream. They are as short as a short-term loan. Foolish people are attached to the 5 objects of desire and will arrive at their death without having rid themselves of them. As a result, they will suffer immense sufferings. A madman who coveted a beautiful fruit climbed up a tree, ate the fruit and refused to come down. The tree was cut down, and when he fell out of it, he broke his head and died painfully. The same fate is reserved for the one who covets the 5 objects of desire. Besides, these 5 objects of desire last only an instant. When the pleasure that they bring has disappeared, there is great suffering. These objects are like a knife coated with honey. Those who lick it covet the sweetness of the honey and are unaware of the knife that cuts their tongue. The 5 objects of desire set man close to the animals. The wise man who knows them can avoid them. Here is an example. The Upasaka tempted by a goddess. An Upasaka who was the head of a group of merchants earned his livelihood by making distant journeys. Once when he was traveling at night in the cold and the snow, he lost his companions and stopped in a rock cave. At that moment, the mountain goddess changed into a woman and, approaching him in order to tempt him, spoke this stanza. The white snow covers the mountain, all the animals have gone away. I am alone and without refuge, I want only your sympathy. The Upasaka covered his ears with his hands and answered with these stanzas. Impudent and evil woman, who speaks these impure words? May you be carried away by water or burned by fire. I do not want to hear your voice. I have a wife, but I do not desire her. How then would I commit a lustful deed with you? The sense pleasures are not deep, but the suffering and torment that they bring is very deep. While one is enjoying pleasures, one is not satisfied. When one is deprived of them, one feels great sadness. When one does not have them, one wants to have them. When one has them, one is tormented by them. The joys of pleasure are rare. The grief and pain they bring are abundant. Because of them, men lose their lives. Like butterflies that dash into the lamp. Hearing these stanzas, the mountain goddess released the man and led him back to his companions. That man is wise who condemns the desires and is not attached to the 5 objects of desire, i.e., pleasant colors, sounds, perfumes, tastes and tangibles. By seeking meditation, one should reject all of that. 1. Rejecting colors. How to reject colors taken here in the sense of female beauty. By considering the damage done by color. When a man is attached to colors, the fire of the fetters burns him completely and consumes his body, like a fire that consumes gold and silver. Boiling broth, hot honey, have color and taste, but they burn the body and take the roof off your mouth. One must hurry to reject them. It is the same for attachment to beautiful colors and exquisite tastes. Furthermore, the fact of loving or detesting depends on the person. Color in itself is indeterminate. How do we know that? When we see a man at a distance whom we like, we have feelings of joy and affection. When we see at a distance an enemy or adversary, we have feelings of anger and hostility. When we see a man who is indifferent to us, we have neither anger nor joy. If we want to expel this joy or this anger, it is necessary to reject bad feelings and colors, abandon them together at the same time. When molten gold burns your body and you want to get rid of it, it is not possible just to want to avoid the fire while keeping the gold. You must avoid both the gold and the fire. Bimbasara at Amrapali's home. Thus King Pinpo Solo, for the beauty of a woman, entered an enemy kingdom and stayed alone in the chamber of the courtesan Fan Polo. Udayana and the 500 RSIS. Out of attachment to female beauty, King Yo Tian cut off the hands and feet of 500 RSIS. For all these reasons, desire for colors is condemned. 2. Rejection of pleasant sounds. Why condemn sounds? The nature of sounds is instability. Once heard, they vanish. The madman who does not know that sound is characterized by impermanence. Change and disappearance, finds a futile pleasure in sounds and, when the sound has disappeared, he remembers it and is attached to it. The Kimnari and the 500 RSIS. Thus 500 RSIS lived on the mountain. A Chento Lo Niu was bathing in a pool in the snow mountains, and when they heard her song, the RSIS lost their meditation. The rapture of their mind was so strong that they could not control it, as though a great wind were blowing in the trees in the forest. Hearing this song of subtle beauty in sweet, tender and pure accents, they had a bad experience and were unable to control the violence of their minds. In the present lifetime, they lost their qualities, and in the following lifetime, they fell into a bad destiny. The sage considers that sound arises and ceases from moment to moment, that the previous moment is not joined to the later moment, and that there is no continuity. Knowing that, they do not have any attachment for sounds. If the music of the gods cannot trouble such a sage, how could the human voice succeed in doing so? It is for all these reasons that desire for sounds is condemned. 3. Rejection of pleasant smells. Why condemn smells? Some claim that being attached to smells is a slight fault. But attachment to smells opens the door to the fetters. Even if one has maintained discipline for 100 years, one moment is enough to violate it. The Sramanera who became a Naga. Thus there was an Arhat who always went to the palace of a Naga to eat. One day, when the Arhat had finished eating, he gave his bowl to a Sramanera to wash it. Inside the bowl there were several grains of rice remaining. The Sramanera smelled them and found them very strongly perfumed. He ate them and found their taste exquisite. He had recourse to a trick. He crept under the webbing of his teacher's bed, and when his teacher left, he entered the palace of the Nagas. The Naga said to the teacher, "This man has not yet obtained the path. Why have you brought him with you?" The teacher answered, "I did not notice that he came with me." The Sramanera received some rice and ate it. Moreover, he saw a Nagi whose body was of perfect beauty and with unequaled perfume and grace. His mind became passionately attached to her, and he made this vow: "May I take the place of this Naga and live in this palace?" The Naga said to the teacher, "In the future, don't bring this Sramanera." When the Sramanera returned, he applied himself one-pointedly to practicing generosity and observing discipline, only praying that he would become a Naga soon according to his vow. One day when he was circumambulating the temple, some water appeared under his feet. Then he understood that he definitely was about to become a Naga. He went to the shore of a great lake at the place where his master had previously entered to go to the Naga. He covered his head with his kasaya and entered the water. He died immediately and changed into a great Naga. Because his merits were great, he killed